does the OECD mean when it talks about designing and delivering public services in the digital age? To understand the digital transformation of public services, we consider three areas. Firstly, we start by looking at the context for design and delivery of services. Then we see what the philosophy and underlying behaviours are of the public sector in terms of their design and delivery. And third of all, we look at the enabling ecosystem that's required to support the transformation of services. Starting with the context. In this area, we look at the role of representative and organisational politics. We consider historic channel strategies around in-person, telephone or web-based services and how that channel strategy has a bearing on the legacy of physical or technical infrastructure. This can be particularly relevant in terms of multiple channels from multiple organisations, digital identity, interoperability platforms, or sources of data. Finally, the other contextual factor that shapes the experience of services is the nature of a given country's demographics and geography. The second consideration is the philosophy of design and delivery. From the outset, the role of leadership, whether political, organisational, or societal, is critical to show the vision for making user-centred, data-driven, and proactive services the reality in a country. This requires user research to understand whole problems and design end-to-end service experiences that reflect the input of an engaged public. Transforming public services is not about moving individual transactions online, but recognising how those individual elements come together to help solve whole problems. The involvement of the public is critical in the philosophy for designing and delivering transformed digital services, and they must be involved as early and as often as possible. The next area is to actively break down governmental silos so that policy, delivery, and operations can work together across organisational boundaries. This imagines the role of diverse, multidisciplinary teams that recognise the value of bringing different professions and experiences together in order to fully address the problem in a way that works for users rather than according to government structures. Finally, the OECD advocates for an agile approach to delivery. Adopting an iterative approach to research, build, and test public services ensures they continue to meet the understood and identified needs of users over time. The third consideration is providing and equipping service teams with the necessary enabling resources to transform services at scale and with pace. The first focus is best practice materials and guidelines that help to develop shared cultures of delivery. The second is on governance, spending, and assurance. How do teams access the funding that they need? Does that funding allow them to iterate and continue to develop the service on an ongoing basis? How do governments assure quality of delivery, whether against a business case and the return on investment, or against whether or not it meets a country's standards for service? Thirdly, how much is the country considering digital inclusion and ensuring that the services themselves can be accessed, whether that's by investing in improved connectivity, resourcing digital literacy and skills in society, or on prioritising the accessibility of the services themselves. It's also important to focus on establishing an omni-channel strategy. That is one where users can be confident that whatever their preference, they will be able to access any service at any time through any channel. The fifth area is supporting the development of common technical components and tools. Platforms that provide hosting, digital identity, notifications, or payments are valuable to teams because they solve commonly experienced problems that would otherwise need solutions developing many times over. The sixth area concerns the important role of coherent, data-driven public sector strategies that establish comprehensive data governance, enable the application of data to generate public value, and in so doing, build the trust of users. Finally, countries need to invest in recruiting, developing, and retaining public sector digital talent and skill. Collectively, these three areas work together to allow countries to transform their approach to service design and delivery.